Hoglan from Testament, Dark Angel, and Deaf to All, and boy, you name it. And you are listening to Jet and Metal Messiah Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight is my first show of 2019, and who better to ring in the new year than with drummer extraordinaire, Mr. Gene Hoglan. Welcome back to the show, Gene, and Happy New Year.
Hello, Jet. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Thank you very much. I'm real honored to be part of the first show of the year. It's going to be a great year for metal, great year for all of us. Absolutely.
So, we've had you on a few times, so we know all your history. So tonight, I just want to kind of catch up a little bit with you. So,
Absolutely.
2018, busy year for you. Testament was on that Slayer Farewell tour. So how was that tour, Gene, and what was the energy like at those shows?
Well, the tour as an entire, entity was so amazing, as it always is with Slayer. Excuse me. They're just from top to bottom, their entire organization is first class. They treated all the bands so amazingly, and it was so incredible. The energy was awesome at the shows. Lots of people, like Testament was the first band on the first leg, and the second band on the second leg, and both legs were amazing. There's tons of folks there already, because we were kind of wondering, God, are people even going to be showing up at 5 p.m.? And there was no worry there. There's a lot of folks there, and Testament just brought it as best as they could, and Slayer, of course, was incredible every night, and their pyro is just unparalleled as far as I know. I don't go to many concerts, and of course I've seen Rammstein live, and they're the kings of all pyro. I mean, for our style of music, our underground thrash metal, this is absolutely, Slayer's show is the finest in all of history. Totally. So that was great. And I tell you, one of my highlights, a few of my highlights, playing the shows every night, and I got to do some shows with Anthrax. I filled in for Charlie, and that was really cool. But my kind of highlight of the tour was about midpoint through the first leg. We were always at front of house watching the show, and anytime there were screens on the side of the stage, Slayer was not bringing their own, video director or anything. They were just using, the local house guys, and a lot of those guys are, 65 years old. They're country music fans. They don't know, and it was well seen many times where, Gary Holt is pulling off some killer lead, and they're filming Tom staring at Paul. And, come on! That was the only thing that was missing. So I went to Slayer's people and said, hey, let me do this. Let me at least sit next to the guy who's directing and point out, okay, put your camera on the bald guy, it's his lead. Put your camera on the hairy guy, it's his lead, and all that sort of stuff. And then it just evolved into me taking over the entire video show, where I've got the headphones on, and I'm talking, camera one, get on your singer, camera two, get on your bald guy, that sort of thing. And that was really fun. I wish they had more screens at the shows, because about one out of every 3 shows or so would have a screen, but that was always really, really fun for me. That was a cool challenge. I'd never done anything like that before, but it was, 35 years ago, the whole reason why I started working for Slayer in the very first place when I was 15, 16, was Tom came up to me at a show, and their light guy hadn't showed up that night, and, they had a pretty solid light system, and so he was like, hey, man, can you run that board over there? Can you do lights for us tonight? And I was, I had no idea, but I was like, yes, I can. And I went, just figured out the board, and then the next show, and this is back in 83, 84, something like that, Slayer playing the clubs. The next show, light guy didn't show up again, so it's like, hey, can you do it again? And so just after that, I would just show up at I went to every Slayer show in town, just about. I'd show up at the show, walk up straight to the light board, and start working. And so just by saying yes to something that I had no idea about, I got to hit the road with Slayer when I was 16 and all that sort of thing.
Wow,
so,
yeah.
It had just kind of come full circle, and Johnny Araya, Tom's brother, he had pointed out sometime during the tour, he's like, there's only 4 guys from that very first tour on this tour, and that's you, myself, Tom, and Kerry. I was like, wow, I wasn't even thinking about that, but holy moly, you're right. So every once in a while, a couple of crew guys would come out from that first tour and catch a show, and that was always fun. So the whole tour was great. The whole year has been fantastic in all the professional ways. It's been a fantastic year. And my wife Laura just pointed out to me this morning that, hey, man, did you know that you're up for Modern Drummer's Best Drummer of the Year? And I'm like, I had no idea.
I saw that. Yeah, I voted for you.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I guess it's on your Twitter feed. And I'm like, okay, that must have been something that my management put on there. So, hey, I'm up for that too. Hooray!
So what is your feelings of Slayer leaving the whole touring scene now after all these years, literally growing up with them?
Well, I mean, it's obviously a mixed pile of emotions. None of us, no metal fan, wants to see Slayer or anybody at the top of the game leave. However, Slayer is at the absolute top of their game. What better time to leave? Mm-hmm. You want the guys in the band to be happy. I know it's, I think it's all pretty well established that, Tom is wishing for more of a home life, and he's he's been laying the breadcrumbs in interviews for 10 years now.
Right.
So, it's not a huge surprise in that regard. So we all want Tom to be happy and healthy and all that, but I'm sure the other guys in Slayer are like, hey, we're not going anywhere. We're going to figure out something to do. So kick ass. You got some brand new music coming from the guys from Slayer, hopefully, and we'll see where that goes. But you never want to see a Slayer or a Metallica or a Megadeth or an Anthrax or anybody, Testament or anything, just up and walk away. That's no fun for us, but it is what it is, and hey, we're all metal fans. We're tough. We can take it,
Now, you said that you got to play with Anthrax on that tour, too, so how did that happen, Gene?
It's something that's sort of kind of built into their system. Every tour or so, Charlie needs to, exit for a few days, and they've usually got somebody to just quietly step in, take the space for keep Charlie's seat warm for a few days. And before the tour, right before the tour, it kind of came up, and so I was like, yeah, sure, I'm going to be there anyway, so no problem. Yeah, let's make this happen. And I love helping the guys in Anthrax out. I dig everybody, and I dig Charlie to death. And so if I can help out, absolutely, no problem. I'm there. It's simple to do. I love playing 2 sets. Gosh, I wish. There were a couple of shows where we played the off shows. The non-Slayer, Lamb of God, Behemoth shows. It was just Anthrax and Testament. Those sets were a little longer, and I always love that. Give me 2 big, fat headlining sets to play. I love that. It's great cardio. I utilize drums for my health, and so playing 2 sets a night, playing 2.5 hours a night, no problem. Give me that. I'm down for that.
So what's Testament have going on for 2019?
I know that the band is writing right now. I've been up to Eric Peterson's place a couple of times already since the end of the tour to work out some new stuff. I know we got 3 songs as of now, pretty dialed in. There's going to be some changes here and there, but Eric's got a boatload of ideas coming, and I just go up there and help him flesh them out, and that's cool. So I know they're intending to have the new album. I'm sure they're going to start recording ASAP. I mean, it doesn't mean tomorrow, but as soon as they've got 10, 15 songs ready to go, perhaps a couple covers, that always happens. As soon as they've got all that dialed, Testament's going to be back in the studio real soon.
And Gene, not saying that you're old or anything, but you've been around the scene for a long time. So what are your feelings on how the metal scene has progressed over, say, the past 20 years?
The one thing I love about the metal scene is it constantly gets heavier. One thing that used to drive me effing nuts back in the 80s is when they're calling Motley Crue and Warrant and Cinderella and all those kind of bands that I cannot effing stand, calling those bands heavy metal. It's like, screw you, man. You know, like, this is not heavy metal. And if you think Whitesnake and Motley Crue and all that shit is heavy metal, you are sorely mistaken. And all that stuff was at the top of the charts, and that is not metal. So at least now, even with the newer bands like the Asking Alexandrias and the Bring Me the Horizons and all that, that stuff is a million times heavier than Motley Crue ever was. And these are bands that get into the top five. You know, you got Lamb of God hitting the top five always, and I'm down for that. That's one thing that I saw that starting to change around the time that nu metal came in. And people were asking me at the time, like, nu metal, what do you think of it? And I'm like, well, it's not my cup of tea, but at least it's not Motley Crue and Warrant and all that sort of thing. It's heavier, so that's where I can get behind, and that's why today's metal scene with the viability of every band through the internet. I mean, you can, it's well documented. Back in the day, you had to send away $5 for your cassette and see what the band's going to be like, or you'd have to take a chance on that album cover artwork at the record store. Like, the artwork looks cool, the band looks cool, hopefully the music is cool, and you'd roll that dice. And nowadays, it's like, oh, I hear a band on Sirius XM. Let me go check out their stuff on iTunes or Spotify or whatever, or YouTube or whatever. So, I mean, that's incredible for a lot of the new bands. With the file sharing and all the kind of Napster things that have happened over the years, I think it's kind of funny that pretty much all those younger bands that are, it's all the young bands that kind of, when they were just fans, they're the ones illegally downloading. Now they're the ones having real problems, making a living. So I'm like, hey, you guys screwed this up. You figure out a way to make this work. And a lot of these bands are. So good for them.
Now, are there any things that you, miss about the olden days of Death and early Dark Angel and those times?
Well, let me see. I guess there was a lot of innocence. There was a lot of flying by the seat of the pants. We had no idea what we were doing. Back in the early thrash days, back before there were albums coming out from all these bands, back in when the thrash was forming back in the, 83, 84 in LA, and, through 85 and even 86, there was no scene. There was no, wow, we have this great scene that we're all involved in. There was no scene in 83, 84, 85. There wasn't. There was a handful of metal fans that would show up to shows, and then that started growing, and, you might be able to get, upwards of a couple of thousand fans at your shows, and these are including the same fans that were there a year ago when you were playing in front of 30 people. Now it's grown a little bit, and, just having that sort of innocence and not having any kind, there's no business plan. There's no long-term anything back then. We had no idea how long we were going to last, or I always had a feeling that I would be, I always knew I would be involved in the music scene, involved in the metal scene, playing drums for a bunch of different bands. I always felt that. But that doesn't mean everybody else was able to do that. And, so that's, I suppose there's just that innocence that you might look back fondly on, like, boy, we sure did not have any clue what we were doing, but something came out of it. Now, when you go into a tour, you know exactly what you're doing.
Right.
So, you know what you're going to make. You know what's going to, you know what problems are going to arise, and all that sort of thing. And back then, we learned as we went.
And Gene, also, all these years, all the touring, all the late nights takes an awful toll on the body, lots of wear and tear. But you seem to be looking very well. So how do you keep yourself, in shape at this stage of the game? Like you said, you enjoy doing those 2-hour sets.
Yeah, well, I keep myself in shape by not touring.
There you go.
On the road, like I have so much discipline throughout all my life. I don't drink. I don't do a lot of stuff. But I tell you, those endless pizzas that you get as after show food and things like that. And when you're on a Killer Slayer tour and there's killer catering, and you see all these guys getting salads, but like, look at all that meat right there! Holy moly! I tend to fluff up a little bit on tour, but when I'm off tour, my wife Laura is such a health advocate that's completely I've absorbed that. So, and it is I've expressed this many times to many people that I intend to be playing brutal thrash metal, hauling double bass deep into my 70s, like no problem. So I'm preparing for that now. I'm 51 now, and I look and feel better than I did 25 years ago. Like I'm 51, I feel 27, and I feel I've lost 160 pounds from my largest size, and I figure I can get away with this carriage that I have at 51. But in my 70s, maybe I can't get away with looking like this in 20 years from now. So it's my intent to be like this cut, ripped, 70-year-old dude hauling the double bass and just crushing the drums. And so I figure I'll be cut, I'll be ripped, I'll be super duper in shape, and then when I'm 70, I might feel like I'm 22.
There you go.
Right now, I feel 27, and that's like Laura does not believe in aging, and if you look at her, she's a baby, and I have a baby face, but I'm able to hide it behind shades and goatees and hair and stuff like that. But I have a total baby face, and I'm gonna have this baby face when I'm 70. I don't have any wrinkles. And I smoke. That hasn't. That's my one gnarly non-health thing. But I quit all the other junk. I don't eat a lot of junk food. I don't. I eat a lot of salads. But I don't have any wrinkles. I'm looking decent. I feel better than ever. I'm working out. And all of this is in order to maintain my lifestyle of being a touring, wielding, dominating musician in my 70s, in my 80s. So that's not going to be a problem at all.
Well, hopefully I live long enough to see all that.
Absolutely. We all can. Like none of us have to age. We just seriously don't. Like, if you take care of yourself now, and 10 years ago, that's when I started realizing, like, dude, if this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, like, there is no retirement pension in thrash metal, then if you want to keep working till for another 30 years or until you decide to stop out of your own choice, you need to prepare for it now. And there you go. And I've been adding in all the superfoods and things like that. And recently I've started working with a company called High on Life Superfoods, and I've been using their Lit product, which is amazing and incredible. Boy, it's like the candy of superfoods. And I've taken a lot of superfoods. I don't know if you're familiar with superfoods.
Yep.
That's a serious part of my regimen. Superfood on pretty much a daily basis. I used to haul down a Red Bull before the show, and now I'll drink a big fat superfood, and that gives me the energy and all that sort of stuff. And with this company, High on Life Superfoods, and all their products that they're releasing, I'm down with all of them. I'm on a bunch of them right now, and I feel awesome.
Well, I checked them out a little bit too, and it's kind of nice because, like, we do juicing, which is basically the same thing as what they're doing, except for they do all that they put all that together already for you and make it so much easier than,
Absolutely.
So you're absolutely right. everybody, not just us, everybody has the power to heal themselves, to feed their cells, to feed their bones. You know, you can kind of do a turnaround too. People think, well, I'm too old now, it's too late now, the damage has been done. But it's not true, because I think people need to re-educate themselves on nutrition, and that they can feed their cells. You know, right now they're feeding their stomachs, you know. But I absolutely agree with you, and I think when we get a little bit older, it's like you said, you're like, shit, man, I want to keep going, I got to do something, and doing this is what you probably should have been doing all along throughout your life, and, you know. But
yes, you should be. However, for those of us who didn't,
nobody does.
It's never too late. It's like 10 years ago, my diabetes was raging out of control. Now I do not have diabetes.
Yep.
You know, so all of that, you can reverse any disease you have, heart disease, cancer, tumors, whatever. You can reverse everything through nutrition.
Yep.
We just, you know, I mean, big pharma is an insidious situation. You know, the pharmaceutical companies, that is the largest, you know, export that we have, or largest industry in the nation, I would imagine. And you know, if they've got you locked down under their thumb, we control everything for your health. You have to come to us to be healthy. That's all absolute. I'm no conspiracy theorist, but that is just absolute lies.
You're right.
You take care of your own future, your own sustenance, your own nutrition, your own health, your own body, your own disease freedom, yourself. And it's challenging. I'm not saying it's easy. It takes a lot of research and a lot of gumption. You gotta want this. But if you do want it, it is there for you, and everybody can be inspired to look after their own bodies through their own, you know, God, you know, thousands of years ago, men used to have to go out and forage for their healthy routine, and now you got Amazon. You know, that's your foraging now. Hit up Amazon, have them send you some stuff.
And now there's really not any excuse for people, because there's so many resources out there on, you know, what you can do. Whereas back in the day, there probably weren't so many resources out there, and everybody was just eating crap, and, you know, oh, don't eat butter, eat margarine, when the truth is that butter's better for you than margarine, you know. But now
margarine is one molecule away from plastic.
It's terrible.
They discovered margarine is one molecule away from being plastic.
I believe it. But like I said,
flies will not land on margarine, because it means nothing to a fly.
That's true. That is so true. Okay, so now that we got all the nutrition out of the way,
hey, excellent.
Tell us what's going on now with Dark Angel. So update us a little bit about what's going on with that band, if there's any plans in the works for 2019, maybe?
Well, we do have quite a few plans that we're starting to kind of get together as we speak. A lot of stuff is coming together, and I'll be able to comment a little more on that in the sooner future. But yeah, we do intend to hit the road on 2019, and this promised album to everybody, we are moving forward on that. I know that 5 years ago I promised, hey, we're going to have a new record out real soon. And then it's essentially my fault, because my schedule is pretty damn brutal, and our guitarist Jim Durkin and I, we work best when we are face-to-face, guitars in hand, throwing riffs around. And that's been a little challenging, especially over this last year, because there's been a lot of, just personal upheavals in my life that have, unfortunately, had to take my focus away from music only to a lot of clerical family business. And so I've been working my way through all of that, and hopefully in 2019 my schedule is going to be a little more free, and so I can get this album finally completed and done and tracked and released. And we may have to do a tour or two before the album comes out, but we are really, really, really hoping for 2019 to see a new release for Dark Angel. At the absolute latest, we're hoping for like an early 2020 moving forward with it, but I'm looking at 2019 this year. So, that's what's up with that. You're going to see us playing some shows, and, we're hopefully going to be doing some more Death to All this year as well.
Oh, wow.
And that's going to be killer, and as people may know, that is our death tribute to Chuck Schuldiner. Mm-hmm. It's with ex-members, awesome ex-members, the most beautiful lineup ever of death ex-members. We got Bobby Coble from Symbolic on guitar, and then we have the one and the only Steve DiGiorgio on bass. That's beautiful. I get to play with Stevie D and Bobby every night. I'm down for that. And our vocalist Max Phelps, he's very cognizant and respectful of Chuck's legacy, and he wants to do Chuck's legacy just perfect. And so you've got this great lineup for Death to All that is just brings a killer show of death every night. So that's pretty cool too. And I'm working with Laura with our project, trying to move that forward. And I tell you, that's my most brutal drumming that I'm doing in any of my bands is the stuff I'm doing with Laura. She does not take it easy on me. Come on, Hoglan. Those other guys are a bunch of sissies with you. Play some double bass. So there you go. That's pretty good. I love that project, and that's getting closer. We're still a ways off with that one, but that's getting closer. And God, what else? There's always, there's going to be some clinics next year for me, I'm sure, and lots of Dark Angel out and about. So it's going to be and of course Testament, So it's going to be a pretty busy 2019, no doubt.
And Gene, what kit are you playing on currently?
I play a Pearl reference, and in the States I have a matching kit to my European kit. I have two kits that I mostly take out. I've taken my third kit out. I have a few kits kind of stationed all over the planet.
Right.
So for Europe, I've got it, and it just the look of my kit is really, really neat because I've got the chrome finish, and I also use the Attack Rack, which you might be able to get some info on them from Facebook, Attack Rack, and that is Eric Meyer from Dark Angel's rack company, drum rack company. And I've said it many times before, I am no rack enthusiast. I hated racks. Give me some cymbal stands, make my kit look nice, shiny, and killer like a drum set, like a classic drum set. However, when I started working with Attack Rack, this thing is the greatest thing ever. Like, people, you can bunch up some recent photos. You can see what it looks like. There's a million of them out there, and the kit just looks like a spaceship, and it plays great, and the rack is the most amazing rack ever. I strongly suggest any drummer who is interested in racks, check out the Attack. Even if you're not interested in racks, this could change your mind. It did me. That's great that it's my friend Eric, my bandmate Eric, but if I went to him, I went to him to see if he could build me a rack, and he's like, hey, I can. You'll be my first rack. I'm going into business for it because a couple of years back, I went to Eric's house, and I had to track some drums for some Dark Angel stuff, and I'm looking at this rack that's on his drum set. I'm like, what in the world is this thing? Where'd you get this? He's like, I made it. And so, a few months later, I just thought it was amazing, like the design, the structure of it. And a few months later, when Chuck Billy had asked me, hey, would you be interested, would you mind playing a rack on this tour so we can just kind of part your drum set and never tear it down and just pack it straight into the truck? And I don't know about playing a rack. And then the light bulb went on over my head, and I was like, hey, Eric's rack, maybe he can make you one. And when I approached Eric, Eric was like, I'm actually going into business for this. Yes, I can make you a rack. And sure enough, it's the effing coolest rack out there. Attack Rack, everybody check it out. It is quality, and it is a one-of-a-kind piece of machinery that is just absolutely killer. And it makes your kit look good, and this thing is a rock. It does not move, so that's pretty good.
Do you have that same rack on your U.S. kits, too?
I do. I have the very first attack rack is over in Europe now, and the very second attack rack is on my is on my U.S. kit. And they're working with I think they're working with Sacred Reich and Byzantine and who else? Devil Driver. Mm-hmm. And I think Bruno Mars has actually reached out to their drummer. I believe so. And this has been months since I've actually talked with Eric about, hey, who's on your roster now? I know those guys. I've seen Sacred Reich. I've seen Byzantine using it. And all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of guys out there that are getting really into it. So, and I'm a total proponent for it. I'll tell you all about it.
You just did. So, Gene, what do you enjoy most about your career as a drummer?
Get to be Gene Hoglan. Holy moly! I am the poster boy for living one's dream. This is what I started setting out to do when I was 11. And, God, by the time I was 13, 14, 15, it was just solidified that what you are going to be with your life is a rock drummer. You have no idea what your life is going to entail. And since you tend to like the more extreme music, there could not be a lot of money in your future, but you're going to play for the love of what you do, and you're going to get to see the world, hopefully get paid for it. This is all things that I set out when I was in my early teens, and it has been that. I've gotten to live the exact life I wanted. I get paid to play my drums. Like, Jesus, how cool is that? I have so many friends that are in traveling bands, touring bands, but they got to come home to the 9 to 5, right. And it happens with bands. Just because you're a band on tour does not mean you're making money to survive. 5 members, 3 crew guys, this is not the kind of career you get into to make money. That's just the way it is. But I fortunately get to, and I've gotten to go out and play thrash metal for a living. God, Jesus, if you told me that when I was 11 and 12 and all that, I would have been like, okay, kick ass, because that's what I intend to do. So I'm absolutely living the dream. It's been amazing. I've had an amazing career, an amazing life, and I'm not even halfway through.
And Gene, let's also talk a little bit about your atomic clock now. I think, what do you have, like 2?
I do, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that and what's going on with that.
Well, the latest, it's what's it called, Atomic Clock. Clock Strikes 2. That came out in 2017, and that was really awesome. The first one I released in about 2010 or so, and in between there, I filmed another one and put that one out, and it's awesome. They're very disparate in terms of the approach of both. The first one was a whole lot of fun and like me just flying by the seat of my pants. The second one has a little more focus. It looks better. It sounds better. It's much more, I guess, professional. So if you can check both out, great. And if you check out the latest one, that's going to be a kick-ass journey for you, too. It's a couple hours of kick-ass drumming to some kick-ass songs. And I try to make all my DVDs palatable for those who are not drummers. I just try to make it entertaining for even the non-musicians, where it's like, I don't play any instrument, but I bought your DVD and I really dug it. So that's, when I get that compliment, that's a true compliment. I'm really down with that one. So, hopefully people enjoy it. And I tell you, I don't read message boards or forums or something. I could have put this out and people could have absolutely hated it. I wouldn't be able to tell you if they did. So there you go, but it seems like people enjoy it.
So, Gene, if people want to learn more about you and what you have going on, what's the best sites they can go to do that?
I would imagine probably my Facebook, or, I think I try to keep all the socials pretty up to date, and I am not a great poster by any means. Like, you don't really see me on my Twitter with here's a salad I just made for myself. I don't really do that kind of thing. Who's got time for that? Jesus. I see the guys that are on Instagram and just like taking videos of every single thing they do all day. I'm like, that's fantastic. fantastic. How do you get the time for that? But I would say, all my socials, just Google Gene Hoglan, and that'll tell you what's going on, pretty much.
All right, so Gene, as always, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this interview with us tonight. And when you can comment more on that Dark Angel, I would love to have you and Jimmy back on the show again to tell us more about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll pencil that in. As soon as we got some more concrete information, you'll be the first to know, Jet. Absolutely.
All right, well, thanks so much, and all the best to you in the new year.
Best to you and all your listeners, and thank you, everybody, for all your support. And here's to a fantastic 2019 for everybody, for all of us. Absolutely.